Okay, I'm going to start over again because there's a mix-up with the broadcast. Chapter 4, Chaitanya Mahakavya. Mahaprabhu, the moon of the ocean of mercy, friend of the lotuses of his followers' minds, lived in household life with his wife. His complexion of attractive molten gold. His beauty was cool, tender and sweet. It defeated the attractive, sweet beauty of Cupid. Cupid, seeing him, immediately concluded that his own beauty would be mocked by men repeatedly in comparison to his beauty. Being most merciful, he filled the universe with the cooling ras of his lotus feet. Persons who did not speak of him lived in the world worthlessly. Being a teacher, he taught brahmanas while his eyes moved about playfully like blooming lotuses. Because of his prowess, even Brihaspati became frightened. As he joyfully taught, shining in the assembly of various students, with his golden body and sweet effulgence, his attractive beauty became the taste of nectar. By the rays from his teeth, by his moon-like face bathing his lips, by the sweetness of his smile, and by his intense complexion, Mahaprabhu, endowed with fresh, attractive beauty, shone. When Mahaprabhu glanced at all the faces of the students with his beautiful eyes, red with strong mercy, filled with beauty, all the directions became red. When he spoke, moving his hand with grave, graceful gestures, he shone like a dancing golden mountain, glowing with red garika. The sounds of 3 or 4 students surrounding him as they exclaimed, "This is the meaning of what is the meaning," gave him pleasure. When many bees flew towards the Lord's face and spread out, vibrating their wings in joy, it appeared that buffalo herds were moving about in all directions. Seeing his hand, the bees, losing their intelligence, thought it was a new shoot with a resting place or a lotus in the water, and attempted to land in his hand without stinging. By the pleasant shower of white nectar from his moon-like nails, by the beauty of his stem of his hand, the bees gave up attachment to white creepers for a long time. Giving up the beauty and sweetness of honey and the best of flowers, did the bees attain skill in the scriptures, rendering benefit to the devotees on earth. Drinking the nectar of words flowing from the moon-like mouth of the Lord, who gave life to the dead, as the Lord recited scriptures, the students after some time had all their impurities destroyed and became joyful. His white cloth, his parrot-like nose, and his sweet lips produced sweetness that spread everywhere. Seeing the Lord's moon-like face, which bewildered the universe with the liquid beauty of his smile, shining like a newly blooming lotus, whose pleasing nature defeated all reddish objects, the students smiled. Looking at his face, the moon lost its beauty. The sweet pleasure of a flower full of honey became improper. The Lord taught his students with the ocean of great intelligence. Seeing his sweetness, people said, "Has fresh nectar taken shelter of the earth?" For some days, Mahaprabhu taught, and daily, by the great beauty of his body, destroyed all the sufferings of this world. He desired to go to Gaya with the husband of his wife's sister. He gave joy to the mind of the gentle people by his graceful, attractive activities. First joyfully completing his Shraddha rites on arriving there, the Lord, with eyes like lotuses, increased the happiness as brahmanas shouted, "Jai!" Together with the brahmanas, he was like a moon dispersing nectar among the stars on the earth. As he conversed with them on the road, it appeared to be the most pleasurable gathering. When he saw an attractive place on the bank of the river, the bees became eager to drink the honey from his lotus feet, thinking them to be lotuses. By bees as eyes, filaments as teeth, and blossoming lotus as faces, the place became concentrated sweetness with sweet rasa of the experienced by the devotees. The host of lotuses, a form of sweetness, joyous with the movement of female swans intoxicated with love, gave the Lord joy. What enjoyer of rasa would not enjoy in this pond? The bees, intoxicated by drinking the honey, constantly spoke as follows. What is this? The enjoyer of rasa should become a young elephant in the forest of blossoming lotuses on this earth. What enjoyer of rasa would give up enjoying in this pond? What enjoyer of rasa would not hold the lotus breast to his chest? Would he not give regard to two tender lotus buds as breasts? In the pond, all the lotuses had beauty like the eyes of beautiful-eyed women, and had developed intense affection for the winds passing through the lotus cluster. The female swans, not seeing their dear husbands playing, became disturbed, and making waves in the pond, moved quickly towards their mates. The intoxicated swans, moving in the water, chortling softly, expressing affection for their mates, shook their wings and gave joy to the Lord. Seeing the waves disturb the bank, the Lord experienced the highest bliss. The pleasure seeker derives happiness from seeing something attractive. Full of pure water drops, moving the host of lotuses, expert at disturbing them, the wind relieved the Lord of fatigue by blowing gently. Seeing the sun move slowly, since it experienced joy on seeing the Lord on the path, people thought, has the sun become red out of great attraction to the Lord, now fallen down out of unsteadiness? Seeing the sun like a ripe fruit, desiring to set on the horizon along with the bees which had swarmed about, the lotuses suddenly became sad. The night, which gives joy to the night lotuses, showed enmity to the swarms of bees which flew toward the day lotuses. As the lover awakens his beloved to see her face, the bees attempted to awaken the night lotuses which were about to blossom in the night. The intoxicated bees, which constantly sought the sweet honey of the lotuses, gave up their desire for the day lotuses and went to the night lotuses, just as the best of people seek out a new taste. The merciful Lord, desiring to sleep at night, giving up the crowds of people, enjoyed deep sleep. When dawn came the next day, a breeze was blowing. The Lord, an attractive ocean of mercy, derived great enthusiasm from this. The lotuses were most beautiful, with bees awakening, covered with pollen, and freshly entering the petals of the closed lotuses. At the beginning of the day, the colorful day lotuses and night lotuses, chief of Brahma's creations, gave the greatest bliss to Mahaprabhu as he walked on the path. From seeing the pleasing scene, the Lord was joyful in his heart. As he wandered in the forest, the birds, giving up flying, gave him joy as he derived happiness from remembrance. The mountainous ground shook up after a long time, woke up after a long time on being seen by the Lord, and immediately shouted Jai Jai in joy through the various chirpings of the birds. The earth was sometimes green like haritala, and sometimes yellow like gold. Sometimes it was black like a testing stone. Sometimes it was white like moonstones. The beautiful earth at the base of the mountain, with caves devoid of Vedari plants, as if laughing with blossoming bright flowers, became most beautiful for the Lord as he cast his glance on it. The Lord gazed at the firm place on the road, beautiful with gavayas, cows, and various deer which it sheltered. The herds of deer, lying down and filled with desire, with grateful movements and side glances at every moment, quickly produced sweet ras in the Lord. Overjoyed on seeing various interesting things, the golden ocean of nectar, his mind absorbed in bliss, protected by devotees of various good qualities, shone brightly. The eager Lord, walking on the path, then bathed and performed tarpana and worshipped the Chira river. He developed a fever, but he did not fail to perform his daily rites. Now I have become sick on the. How have I become sick on the road? I must have done some unfavorable act. Thinking in this way, the Lord, who is more merciful to the world, spoke to the Brahmanas. Thinking deeply in his mind, Mahaprabhu, at the time of the fever, stated that the cure for his fever was the foot water of the Brahmanas. The ocean of mercy never rejects mercy. Mahaprabhu's fever then immediately disappeared by taking the foot water of the Brahmanas. What humble people in the three worlds can understand the humble actions of the Lord? The Lord went to Rajagiri with the Brahmanas and spread bliss. At Brahma Sarovara, he completed an excellent rites for his forefathers with respect. At all the excellent holy places, he completed rites for the forefathers according to the rules. With the pure, zealous Brahmins, he entered Gaya. The youthful golden abode of nectar then saw the famous Ishvara Puri and experienced permanent bliss in his heart immediately at that time and forever after. He fell on the ground to offer respects. His mind was filled with great bliss. He spoke in a deep voice with humility, using words pleasing with their politeness. O Master, by great fortune I have seen your lotus feet. Please tell me how, by the power of Bhakti's qualities, I can dry up the ocean of material existence. Hearing Mahaprabhu's words, the great sannyasi and ocean of mercy became happy and gave the mantra to the Lord. The Lord gave respect to he who had given him mercy. On receiving the Krishna mantra, the Lord, merciful to the universe, with hair standing on end and tears flowing in his eyes, spoke, O Master of Sannyasis, by association with your feet, I have become greatly successful. With devotion to the Guru, he took the dust of his feet on his head, in his hands, At the Palgu River, the Lord, whose eyes were redder than the dawn, out of compassion, offered tarpana to his forefathers according to the rules. At Preta Shila, he offered pindas. Leaving there, the Lord, the sole abode of nectar for the heart, went to Dakshina Manase and Uttara Manasa with affectionate brahmanas and performed rites for his forefathers. At Gaya Shiras, he performed rites for the forefathers. Seeing the Lord's feet in joy, he immediately left with the brahmanas. He thought, how is it that I saw the feet of the Lord, Nirhari, and my heart did not melt? Then his hair stood on end and tears came to his eyes. With such actions, he then gave up association of everyone, and with trembling body he became eager to go to Madhuvan, Mathura. A voice spoke from the sky, without a body, in the form of a new cloud. Mahaprabhu should go home. Go and experience happiness in your home. Hearing the excellent divine voice, Mahaprabhu became happy to go home and surrounded by the great Brahmanas. After some days, Sachi saw her son return. She filled the house with festivals. All her desires were fulfilled. An amazing sound rose up in the simultaneous playing of the attractive mridangas, famous patahas, panava, kahala, cymbals, and excellent mardalas. After many days with a joyful face, he had arrived at the house and saw his joyful mother, who was expert in bringing others there. The Lord took her foot dust with his hand and placed it on his head constantly. Eagerly he fell on the ground, showing humility constantly. Suddenly, winds instruments of various sorts sounded deeply with great passion. Seeing her joyful son, like a new golden creeper, wearing soft pleated white cloth, who had just become visible, Sachi distributed wealth. Overjoyed by the arrival of her son, she gave wealth which had arisen by good fortune and had been gathered in that one place to brahmanas, dancers, musicians, and beggars. The merciful Lord, who destroyed the suffering of all beings, returned home at the end of the Posha month. At the beginning of the Magha month, he constantly, daily began spreading knowledge and devotion through the rasa of his kirtan to the world. With all his actions emanating festivity, the ocean of mercy at every moment sang loudly with ardor and sometimes wept with hair standing on end. That's the end of chapter 4. So I'll stop for a minute.